Little Miss Giggles. Can you giggle and eat cornflakes at the same time? Little Miss Giggle could. Do you giggle while you're asleep? Little Miss Giggles did. Can you giggle while you're brushing your teeth? Little Miss Giggles could. She was the giggliest girl in the world and lived in Chuckle Cottage. And there she is, in bed, all smaley. But one terrible day last summer, you'll never guess what happened. She lost her giggle. Just like that, gone. She had woken up giggling as usual. She had giggled her way downstairs as usual. She had giggled while she was having breakfast as usual. There she is, giggling down the stairs. But while she was out walking in the woods around Chuckle Cottage, she realised that she wasn't giggling. She stopped. That's odd, she thought to herself. Now, ordinarily, she would have giggled herself, but not today. She tried, nothing happened. She tried again, still nothing happened. Oh dear, she thought miserably, and as she walked along, a little tear trickled down her cheek. There's the tear going down her cheek. She met Mr. Happy, who was out for his usual morning stroll. Hello, little Miss Giggles, he laughed. How are you today? But then he noticed her sad little face. What's happened? He asked anxiously. You're the happiest person I know. He paused. Next to myself, of course, he added hastily. I've lost my giggle, she explained miserably. Lost your giggle? He asked in bewilderment. There they are, crossing paths. Mr. Happy scratched his head. He said. Well, just have to find it again, won't we? Little Miss Giggles nodded, but not too hopeful. Come on, he said, and seized her by the hand. He took off to see Mr. Funny. There's nobody like Mr. Funny for a giggle, he said. There they are. But it was no use. Mr. Funny tried to produce a giggle, even a chuckle, or even a smile, but little Miss Giggle just couldn't. Tell you what, said Mr. Funny, I'll tell you my very latest joke. Made it up myself, he added modestly. Very funny. Could hardly get to the end of the joke for laughing, and when he finished, both he and Mr. Happy nearly fell over. They laughed so much. There he is, laughing away. But not little Miss Giggles. It was no use, she sighed. I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life. I know I am. Then she thought, I'll have to change my name, she sobbed. She started to cry again. Big fat tears, oh dear me. There she is, crying away in the garden. So Mr. Happy took her to Mr. Topsy to ask for his advice. Good morning, he said cheerfully, and then he caught sight of little Miss Giggles' face. What's the matter? He asked. When we spoke, he always spoke back to front. Mr. Happy explained what had happened. Oh dear, he exclaimed. Then he thought, Doctor, he said, doctor the sea to her take. What a good idea, Mr. Happy said, and took her straight away to see the doctor. May you well. There he is, Mr. Topsy-Turvy. Mr. Happy told the doctor about little Miss Giggles' lack of giggle. He said. Put your tongue out. Not you, you silly Billy, he said to Mr. Happy. Little Miss Giggles, put your tongue out. Looks all right to me, said Dr. Mayuel. Open your mouth. There he is, Dr. Mayuel. Dr. Makewell peered inside. He said again. You're right, not a giggle in sight. I'm sorry, he added, but there's nothing I can do for you. We'll just have to wait for your giggle to come back. Poor little Miss Giggles. There he is, Doctor looking down her mouth. Mr. Happy took her home, and even he by this time was not looking his cheerful self. What a sorry sight, don't you think? Why don't you try and giggle, he said hopefully. Little Miss Giggled opened her mouth. There they are, looking both sad. Ha ha ha, she said dolefully. He, she said miserably. Ho ho ho, she said mournfully. It was no use at all. I'm sorry I can't help, Mr. Happy said, as they reached the garden gate of Chuckle Cottage. And as little Miss Giggle went sadly through her front door, he went home to think. There he is, walking home to think. The idea came to him while he was having lunch. He rubbed his hands with glee. Tee-hee-hee, he chawed to himself. And later that afternoon he knocked on the front door of Chuckle Cottage. Who's there? Asked a sad little voice. It's me, called out Mr. Happy. I have a present for you. There he is, happy with the idea he just got. Little Miss Giggles looked thoroughly miserable, opened the door. Here you are, said Mr. Happy, and handed her a large box. On top of the box, in large letters, it said, 1 giggle, medium size, this side up, handle with care. Little Miss Giggle looked at the box in amazement. What is this? She asked. What it says it is, Mr. Happy laughed. You lost your giggle, so I have got you another one. There he is with the box. That giggle cost me a lot of money, he added. Little Miss Giggle opened the box. But there's nothing inside, she exclaimed. Of course not, said Mr. Happy. Giggles are invisible. But that's absolutely ridiculous, said little Miss Giggle. Isn't it? Chuckled Mr. Happy. There they are, opening the box. Of course it is, she giggled. She giggled, she giggled. The end. All right, sweetie, you have a good night's sleep tonight. Sweet dreams, love you.